We greet you once again from Revelation 14:1 ministry here in Santa Rosa, California. Our ministry is dedicated to the clearing the air on many false teachings that have flooded Christianity of today. And hopefully that what topics that we've covered have enlightened us to know the truth, to be able to discern the truth even when you hear it from the pulpits of our churches of today. So we pray that God will bless us with the wisdom to learn and to be able to make our own decisions instead of relying on other people for the doctrines that you want to believe in. Our topic of today is USA in Bible prophecy. We've covered this topic a number of times in the past, but because of what's happening today in the world, the prominency of this nation of the USA, not only in America, but all over the world since the presidency of Donald Trump, it is very important, vital for us as Christians to know what the Bible tells us about this nation of the United States of America. So that is the reason why we want to go over again on the prophecies about this nation, and so that we may be able to make up our own mind as we watch the news, as we listen to the voice of Donald Trump. I adore this man because he's someone that will talk straight. He doesn't cover his reality with niceties, with words that will that hide the truth. He is not a politically correct person. He tells you as it is. So that's why I adore this man. And it's much better for us because we know exactly what he is planning. We will see in today's lesson some of the things that are happening today. We will cover it more next week, where we will go into detail into some of the laws and things that are happening right here in America and its influence abroad. USA in Bible prophecy. That's our topic for today. In order to understand this better, we need to unlock prophecies, and for that we need keys. For this particular prophecy, these are the two keys that we need to know, to unravel, to dig out, so that we may be able to understand the prophecy about the USA. First, what it means by beast. In the prophecy, it talks about beast. So you have to know what the Bible is referring to when it says beast. And secondly, waters. What is that in Bible prophecy? So for beast is equal to a kingdom or a nation or some power. This is what the beast stands for. And that is found in Daniel 7:23. It says, "The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth." Gabriel was explaining to Daniel the meaning of his vision. He was seeing beasts 4 beasts that came out of here, 4 different beasts. And he's wondering, what are these beasts implying? And Gabriel says, the 4 beasts are 4 kingdoms that will come upon this earth. And he continues to describe to Daniel the vision that he was seeing. So beast, when we talk about beast in these prophecies, it is a kingdom, it is a power, it is a nation. The other key that we need to unravel is waters. Waters or seas. In some of the prophecies it uses the word seas. When it says that, it means a populated area. A nation that is already densely populated by people. Millions of people. Seas or waters means a nation already populated. In Revelation, this is where it's found. Revelation 17:15, it says, the waters which thou sawest. This is the same angel Gabriel speaking to John the Revelator on the island of Patmos. The water which thou sawest, where the war sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, and nations, and tongues. So different nations, different tongues, different people occupy this land. So when it talks about waters, it's a populated area, as Revelation 17:15 tells us. So those are the 2 keys that we need in order to understand the prophecies about the United States of America as written in the Bible. In Revelation 13, verse 11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Another beast. What's a beast? A power, a kingdom. It's appearing out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So it's saying another beast. So that means there was another beast, the first beast. So this is the second beast. This is concerning America. So it says, I saw this beast, I saw this power coming up out of the earth. But what are the keys that we just unraveled? First key was beast. And that's a beast coming up out of the earth. The other key was waters. And what does waters mean? A populated area. So, this beast is not coming out of a populated area, because it's not coming out of the waters. When we go back and study about that first beast came out of the water, so it came out of the populated area. This second beast, which John is seeing now, came out of the earth. So what does that tell you? If the first beast came out of the waters, and so it came out of the populated area, the second beast, which came out of the earth, means it came out of a vacant land. There were not many people on that land, apart from the waters. So this beast, or this power, or this kingdom, or this nation, arose out of a very vacant or empty land. That land was unoccupied. So let's see which land we are talking about here. If we will just ponder about this land, this beast, it says that it came out of the land, out of the earth. And think back about America. It's people started coming in here late 1500s, then 1600s, and 1700s. When they came in, they escaped the persecution from Europe, the Dark Ages. They were just coming out of the Dark Ages in Europe. They were being persecuted by the church, or the first beast that we mentioned earlier. So they ran away from there, and they found this great vast of land empty, except for the indigenous people of the land, who were not many in numbers. So that's how they decided to stay on this land. They ran away from the persecuting powers of Europe, which was a populated land at that time, and they came over to a land which was vacant, occupied only by the indigenous Native Americans. So we will now begin to study this power that came out of this land. It says in the Revelation 13:11, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. These are the 2 contrasting characteristics of this power, the USA. What does it say? It's like a lamb. It's a lamb-like beast. It's harmless. It's cuddly. A lamb is very harmless and cuddly. Its horns are soft, just growing horns. They are rounded, not sharp. It will not hurt anyone. So the nation of the USA, as it was growing started off in the 1776, when it had its independence and it became a sovereign nation on its own. It was like this lamb. Its horns won't hurt anyone. It's a lamb, so it's very young. It represents, the 2 horns represents the civil and the religious power, religious freedom. These are 2 things that they missed out there in Europe. The persecuting power did not give them any religious power. They were all forced to bow down to that beast that was in power in Europe. And they did not have any civil power as well. They did not have any rights. The government controlled everything. So when they came and they started occupy this land and organized into a government, that's the 2 things represented by the 2 horns of this lamb-like beast. Civil and religious freedom, the very thing that they missed out in their land in Europe. On the other side, it says that it was a lamb-like beast, but it spoke like a dragon. And dragon speaks fire. Everything it speaks to will end up burning, because it speaks fire. Secondly, the dragon in Bible prophecy is Satan himself. So, this cuddly nation, this love, harmless nation, when it started off, begins to speak as a dragon. And it says that the dragon is Satan himself. So Satan will work through this nation or this power in these last days that we live in. Let's have a quick look at the first beast. In verse 12 of Revelation 13 it says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast." This is the second beast, or the USA. "He will exercise all the power of the first beast before him," that came before him. So you see, these two powers did not come up at the same time. Just from this verse. The first beast was there, and then after a while, the second beast began to rise out of the land, out of the earth. The first beast before him, "and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast." So the second beast, it comes out of a vacant land, but it becomes like a dragon, and then it forces the whole world. It forces them to worship the first beast. So that very first beast that was the persecuting power out in Europe at that time will be the beast that this nation, the US of A, will force not only the people here in this country, the whole world, to bow down to that first beast. That's what we learn here about the first beast. He will be like a god, and the whole world will be forced to bow down to him, and whose deadly wound was healed. So something happened to that first beast. It had a deadly wound, so it died. And we'll see when we study history what happened to this beast, that this second beast, the US of A, will force the whole world to bow to. Last week we studied this timeline about that 70-week prophecy, and we found out that it began in 457 BC and ended in 34 AD. What happened in 34 AD? That was 3.5 years after Christ died. 70 weeks, which is equal to 490 years. From 457, when the decree was given to go and rebuild Jerusalem by the Persian leader in Babylon. Then they came and they rebuilt Babylon. Jesus appeared on the scene in that same prophecy in 27 AD. 3 years later, he was nailed to the cross, and 3.5 years later again, the word was spread out to the Gentile world by the disciples, or the apostles then. So that marks 34 AD in that chart. So we've studied that in detail last week. If you're not familiar, just go back to our YouTube video for last week regarding the chosen people. We found out that the Jews, who were the chosen people right from Abraham, they lost that status in 34 AD. And God told the apostles, go out to the Gentiles. The Jews, my own people, have rejected me. Go out to the Gentiles and teach them the word. So but this prophecy is a part of a much longer prophecy of the 2,300-day prophecy that's found in Daniel 9. And this is the whole prophecy. See, we've studied from 457 up to 34 AD. This is 490 years. That was the probationary period for the Jews to go back and relinquish all sinfulness, so that by the time the Messiah appears on the scene, you are ready to anoint him. But they were not. 34 AD, they stoned Stephen. And that marks the going out of the gospel to the Gentile world. 3.5 years after Jesus Christ died. But the prophecy is 2,300 days, or 300 years. So it goes further. There was another 1,810 years from 34 AD, and that ended in 1844. So you see, during this time, 1844, within that period is this period here, 538 to 1798. That is the period of that first beast that we were talking about. It was persecuting the Christians in Europe. It lies between these two, during this era here. So from 538 to 1798. What happened in 538? That was when Justinian, the emperor of Rome, gave not only the religious power, recognized the religious power of the Pope, but also gave him the civil, the government to run. And that started off the persecution. When the church and the state came together, persecution was the result. And it continued for 1,260 years, this period from here to here. It ended in 1798. What happened in 1798? Right here, 1798. Napoleon, who was trying to conquer the whole world, sent his general, General Berthier, from France down to Rome. The only power that was restricting him from taking the whole world over was the papal power. So he sent his General Berthier, took the Pope from Rome, took him prisoner, took him up to France, and that's where the Pope died, in captivity, 1798. And that fulfills this promise, this prophecy of the 1,260-year prophecy that lies within that 2,300-day prophecy. So, 1798, the papal system crashed because of Napoleon and General Berthier. And it stopped. The Bible prophecy says there was a deadly wound. We just read. But the prophecy says that it came back to life. And when did that happen? In 1929. But notice this. Notice this on the chart. 1798. That's the end of the papal system at that time. But within that time period, 1776. What happened in 1776? The Declaration of Independence by the US of A. United States came into being in 1776 AD, when it declared its independence and became a sovereign nation. 1776, just before the Pope was taken prisoner, 22 years before the General Berthier cut short the rule of the papal system, this nation was beginning to rise out of the earth. The nation, which nation is it? The United Nations. That lamb-like beast which will speak as a dragon. It's interesting when you watch what happened in history, and you come back to the book and find out that the book had already predicted all of this. In hindsight now we'll see, oh yeah, but during that time, before all this happened, when John the Baptist was on the island of Patmos writing down all his visions, people did not believe it. They couldn't see what will really happen. But now when we look back, we can realize that the Bible is something that we need to really focus on. So that's where, on a timeline basis, we find out that the US of A, the second beast, lamb-like beast, appears on the scene on this timeline. Just before the first beast went out of sight, this second beast is beginning to appear on the scene. 1774, 1798, Napoleon took the Pope down. Let's move on. The first beast power. We'll go back to that. We've read this. And he exercises all the power, the second beast, of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. We've covered that. Whose deadly wound was healed. When did that deadly wound take place? We found out. We found out on that chart that deadly wound took place here in 1798. First beast, the second beast is now at the end of time will be forcing the whole world to bow down to the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. That identifies the papal system, because the papal system went out of service from 1798. So who was the first beast? The papal system of Rome, which persecuted true Christians from 538 to 1798. It's the papal system, guys. The same power that caused the pioneers to flee from Europe. When they came to this land, they ran away from persecution, and it was the persecution of this first beast of Revelation 13. And seek refuge in the Americas, an unoccupied and empty land. It was fake Christianity that was based in Rome, the Roman Catholic Church, that penetrated true Christianity through Emperor Constantine in 321 AD and Justinian in 538. It should be 538 AD, when he gave that power to the papal system, the civil power. So all those are happening, and the Bible had all foretold that. Why I say it's fake Christianity? Look at this. Let's go back to this chart. Nebuchadnezzar's dream, that image on your right there. Head of gold, shoulder of silver, and then bronze, and then iron, and then mixture of iron and clay. From Babylon. Babylon was known for idol worship, for paganism. That religion passed down to the Persian, and down to the Greeks, and down to the Roman. That time period that we are looking at here, after Jesus, Jesus, when Jesus came to the scene, it was the Roman power, and they adopted this paganism that was passed down through that power from Babylon. So you see that Rome this power was now based in Rome. And after Jesus died and the spread of Christianity from 34 AD, all the Middle Eastern countries there had become Christians. Satan did not like that. So this pagan religion in Rome was used by Satan as a fake Christian religion to upset the spread of Christianity all over the world. Satan used this pagan religion that was passed down from Babylon and was now centered in Rome. So they baptized the image of Apollo to be that of Peter, Saint Peter. You find this in the Vatican, it's still sitting there. Everyone who passes there should kiss the toe of that. That was Apollo, but they rebaptized it and named him Peter. There are other things, Mary, the Marian teachings, all this came from this fake Christian religion. And it upsetted the whole Christian movement that was spreading out by the followers of the Christian religion from 34 AD, all over Christian, and it was spreading into Europe. So it was nothing new. The first beast is that fake Christian belief that was set up by Satan himself to stop the spread of Christianity. And we've, in one of our past YouTube video, you can view, is on the religion of Islam in Daniel 11, how Islam came to being. And we in our research there, we found out that Islam was the product of the Roman Catholic Church. On that same mission to stop Christianity spreading, they went to the descendants of Ishmael who occupied the Arabian Peninsula and formed. Muhammad was trained by Jewish priests, Jesuits from Rome. He was trained by him, and they formed this new religion which went against Christianity. It helped the first beast. All these prophecies are in the Bible, and it would be nice to know of them all. So this second beast begins to speak like a dragon. And when it says that, it denotes the use of force, just like that of the first beast. The first beast used force to kill all Christians in Europe at that time. It was angry. This, the same will be done by the US of A. Right now, the US of A is anger about crime, the increase of crime right here in the United States. Their political difference. There's a lot of things happening. Religion and social corruption. Drugs is one thing that is causing a lot of heartache for politicians. They wanted to solve this, but it is out of control. It's causing anger. So this second beast is beginning to speak as a dragon. Secondly, it will cost the whole world. The second beast will also influence the whole world, not only its own citizens. America, as we read in Revelation 13, 11 and 12, will force the whole world. Will force the whole world. So when it forces the whole world, it's using force. You can see how America is doing that right now all over the place. Trump said, I will wipe out ISIS from the face of this earth. And he's doing exactly that. That's why I like him. He does what he says. But when we look into the Bible, he's fulfilling prophecies. I hope that he could hear some of this and realize that his position has been foretold. And only the people who follow the Bible earnestly will be able to tell what he will do next. So the second beast will influence the whole world, not only the Americans. What will it do? In Revelation 13:12, I think it says this, it will cause the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. That first persecuting power in Europe, the papal system, America, will force the whole world to worship it. Today, we are seeing President Trump and the Pope at loggerheads on issues. President Trump has said some very bad stuff about the Pope. Well, that's why I like him. He talks what he thinks. He's very open about that. But we know from prophecy that America, whether it'll be in Trump's time or someone who will come after him, will force the whole world to bow down to that beast in Rome. That's a good thing about prophecies. It's a light that shines into the future. If you're studying prophecies, you are studying what has not happened yet. And the Bible foretells everything. How will it do that? Verse 13 of Revelation 13 says, and he doeth great wonders. Who is that? The US of A, or the second beast. So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth and in the sight of man. So man will see these things happening in the skies. Verse 14 says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. Because he's able to do great things out there in the sky and everyone is watching, either watching it physically or watching it on television. It'll be able to convince the whole world that America has the power to do anything. No wonder he can force the whole world, the Bible says, to do something, and they will do it. He had the power to do in the sight of the beast. So everything that the second beast is doing is meant to impress the first beast. And the first beast is just sitting out there and saying, good, good, you're a good servant, second beast. Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. That's another thing that this power will do. The second image. It will force the whole world to set up an image to the beast. So what was the beast? A beast is a religion and civil come together. So you will see that today Trump has surrounded himself and the White House with all religious people. Everyone you watch on the TV preaching, these are the people who have the ears of Donald Trump. The image to the beast. The beast was the Roman or the religious power, and then Justinian in 538 AD gave him the civil power as well. So he took control of both. He had the religious and the civil power. And because of that, he persecuted anyone who did not bow down to their religion. That is the image that this nation will force the whole world to do. He doesn't care whether it's Islam or Christianity or Buddhism, as long as these two will come together. It'll be an image of the beast, civil and religious power together. And they will persecute the enemies of the state there. Same thing that happened during the Dark Ages. During that time we watched on that timeline, which had the wound by a sword and did live. We know that that first beast was wounded by General Berthier of France. He took that Pope and threw him in jail, and he died in captivity. Ending in 1798 that persecuting rule of the Roman Catholic Church in Europe. It ended there. But when did it come back again? When we study history, it says here, it was wounded by the sword and did live, so it came back to life again. 1929. In 1929, history. It's very important to study history. Mussolini, the leader of Italy, gave back that civil power to the Pope. He told the Roman Catholic Church, you can have your own nation there in the Vatican. 136 or 100 and something acres of land within Rome. It's a separate nation. It has a religious leader who is also the civil leader within his own boundary. So 1929, remember those years, is when this beast came back to being. And today, he is the most famous person on this earth. Wherever he goes, people flock. Millions of people, millions, everywhere he goes, to come and see him, just to touch him, or to see him personally. So he is there in Rome. This second beast is getting more powerful. Donald Trump said, I will build up the military of this land to be so that no other person on this earth will be able to look or treat America like something it is not. All of this time, all the leaders of the earth have been treating America like it's nothing. While I'm in power, America will, the whole world will look up at America. We will be a mighty nation once again. So how will he do that? Oh, then we'll look back at what just happened in the White House. Trump signed a new directive at the White House on Monday aimed at furthering the administration's efforts in advancing space exploration for future missions to the moon and Mars. Remember that prophecy? It will make miracles to happen in the skies. The whole world will be, it says the whole world, let me just go back to that. Yes. It talks about things happening in the skies. Yeah. So here, Trump is signing an executive notice that America is reopening its space exploration. So things are progressing, just like prophecies, Bible prophecies about this second beast. He will give life to the image of the beast. We've already talked about that. One other thing. And he will cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's the second beast. It will force everyone to bow down to the first beast, and anyone who doesn't will be killed. Worship or die. It's a duplicate of the power that was in existence in Europe from 538 BC to 1798. 538 AD to 1798 AD all over the world. These powers will enforce the worship laws, punishable by death for those who do not obey. So things are progressing and it is important for us as Christians to understand these prophecies. How will it do it? The world is being divided today into 10 regions. Those are the 10 regions. All these are on the internet. And when we see it and link it to Bible prophecies, it talks about in this very Revelation 13, it says that the first beast that came out of the waters had 7 heads and 10 horns. Those 10 horns represent those 10 regions. Because all those 10 regions will be represented by a leader, a horn. 10 horns. It's materializing right there in our face. The 10 regions of the world. That's how easy America can control the whole world. Because here, at the heads of all these 10 regions, are someone who will listen to him. So he will command his region to do as America or as the second beast wants. And what he wants, everyone will have to build an image to the first beast, and secondly, to bow down to that image. That's exactly what will happen. Mark of the beast. And he causeth all small, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So that's exactly what will happen. It will force the mark of the beast. We will go more into detail on the mark of the beast in another lesson. So what have we learned today? We've studied about this second beast. And the second beast came out of a vacant land, out of the earth. It had powers similar to the first beast. It had all these powers that the first beast had. And that beast was a persecuting power during the Dark Ages in Europe. And it will also create images of the first beast. Where? All over the world. Because the first beast is only there in Europe, in Rome. But all over the world, this second beast will force all the leaders of the world to create an image to that beast. And will force the whole world to bow down to that first beast by bowing down to that image locally. So it will have this religious, civil power all over the world, which we will bow down to. And anyone who refuses will be killed. Anyone who refuses will be killed. So those are what we've learned today. Second beast came out of vacant land. He had the power similar to the first beast, creates an image of the first beast, force the whole world to bow down to the first beast, and will kill anyone who does not obey. That's where we will end our lesson today, and next week we will go into more detail in what is really happening here in the United States, the laws that have been written which support the prophecies of the Bible. Prophecies helps us see into the future. When we know prophecies, we can determine what will happen next. Preachers of the world today are saying that there are good times ahead of us. The Bible and prophecies say otherwise. There's no more good times ahead of us. We should be prepared for the worst. Prepare ourselves spiritually so that during those hard times, when that persecuting power is there to force us into something that we do not want, we will be strong. We will declare ourselves a follower of Christ, even unto the cross. Let us pray.